I mean, your process is it's stunning. I mean, it's you know, the pages are beautiful. You know, again, it's easy to read. You understand your process. But how do you feel in honesty when you look at what you've got here, as opposed to what you have here?
I see where my faults are and where I would want to improve in.
And how do you learn from those then? What do you do to ensure that that's something that you tackle earlier next time?
I think probably working as simple as it is closer to the form.
And there's also a committal issue with you, right?
A what?
A committal issue.
Committed?
Committal. You're just like, because you've got so much, you don't know which one to pick to move forward with, and then it gets lost, and then you end up delaying.
Yeah.
And I think that, you know, those things are there to learn from, you know, they're not bad things to recognize. They're actually really positive things to recognize, because then you can catch it next time. I think, you know, you're graphically acute. I mean, it's extraordinary in terms of its presentation. But again, you've got to be careful of this smoke and mirrors thing that starts to happen with your work, because you've got it all. And you can. We've talked about this before. We've talked about it as a group. You can make something look so appealing that you just like, you want to stare at it for hours, right? But then when you get in there and you look and you look and you look and you look, it's not as the design development is not as intense as it should be, and you just make it look like it is, and that's what you've got to be careful of, because you can make beautiful pages, but if the thing inside those pages is not real, then you don't have anything. Let's see your photo shoot, because that looks pretty mind-blowing. Can you stand over here so the camera can see it? Tell us about your shoot.
It was actually pretty fun. It was the first time, of course, doing a shoot, so I'm really happy that I even did this. And it's interesting because you try to translate your feeling through the shoot, and that's actually it's like a different level of, I feel like, creativity, since we're so used to working with clothing and not, you know, like the photography and positioning and how the model even looks in the camera, you know, so it makes a very big difference. So I think that's part of the, but we didn't really get any face shots here, so it's...
Listen, you have an extraordinary eye. It's mind-blowing, right? I mean, this is straight out of Dazed and Confused or ID or something. It's amazing, and these are amazing. But this bit has to be, you know, the camera does lie,
Yeah.
and the pages can lie. And what you have here is not as convincing as what you've got here. And I just want to make sure that as you move forward, that this is on exactly the same level as this, which is A+. You know, you've got what it takes. You just got to get in there earlier and commit. Listen, I've said this to you before, and I'll say it again, because I know you now, right? When you apply for my MA, right, I'm going to be looking, which I hope you will. I'm going to be looking through all of this, and I'm going to be going, where's the clothes? Right? Because you've got it. You know, and the reason we're spending so long on you right now is because you've got something worth critiquing, you know? If it wasn't worth it, we wouldn't be talking about it. We wouldn't be giving you these tools to grow and to move forward with. This is all positive stuff. I think, you know, you've definitely got what it takes, but you just need to get making earlier.
Yeah.
Anyone else for anyone else?
I mean, I think it's great how much style you have in all of it.
Oh, thank you. Oh, you talking to her?
Like, you can always tell what your work is, and I love how these refer back to what you've done, how the hair is in her face, but there's this very neutral background with the bright lights, very much reflects back into your work there. So it is holistic, and I really appreciate that.
Give her a go. Now everyone's putting their hands up. Oh, God. Go on.
You know that, like, what it takes to be perfect, but right now it's okay to, like...
Of course, you're not, and you know, hopefully you'll never be perfect, because then you've got nothing to learn. You know, you are going into your first semester of of BFA level, right? Which, by the way, is extraordinary. If you're producing this now, and this goes for every single person in the room, if you're producing this level of work now and you keep going, Lord knows what you'll be producing in 2 years. I mean, it's of a level that I'm beside myself when I look around this room, which is why I'm like, let's film it, let's get people in, let's show it off, let's show the world what you're doing, and that's important. But of course, you've always got somewhere to go. Let's give her a clap because we do need to move on.
The fabric is not enough. It already has to be sewn and placed on the human body, not on the mannequin, because you can't really see its true beauty unless you put it on the human body. Because that's what I realized about two days ago, which it came up with my yeah. So the draping on the mannequin, it's very informative, but it didn't really give me a lot of ideas. But when it came into the body, I loved it. I loved the type, how the pleats fell on the body and the certain parts of the body.
It's crazy, isn't it? You know, actual physical skin and bones and arms and legs.
That's what I realized, that I should have done that first. And actually, you want to keep going, keep this project going. On the form, it's a different type of. You wouldn't expect to get what I expected.
That's nice, right? I think yes, give it a clap. Jessica, talk to me. How do you feel?
I feel happy.
Why? Suck it up. If they're tears of joy, you're in a good place, because you should be happy. Take a deep breath. You're okay. You're okay. You're amongst friends. You're going to have a so good gosh, look. How many have we got in tears now?
I discovered a part of myself that I thought 3 or 4 years ago I couldn't ever find. I'm so happy. Even though there's mistakes, that's very exciting. So, and I'm so happy.
You've done very well. You should give it another clap. You should be very proud of yourself. You've changed not only as a designer but as a person this semester. I mean, the work that you showed me in the first project, and the fact that you're finding your feet, and the fact that you care so much, and you've got that grit. And I'm about to cry. It's hard, you know, and it's a lonely path because you're on it on your own, and you've got to just keep going. And when you arrive at something that you care about so much that you end up making 2 of them, because you can't sleep, because it's in you, it's keeping you awake, because it's just in you, and you've got to get it out, that means you're on the right path, and that means you're doing what you're supposed to be doing with your life. And that, nobody can teach you that, by the way. That's got to come from you and only you. And I think that you're doing extraordinary work, and you're pushing your boundaries, and just your presentation, and the fact that retold the story of the concept of the project. Everything that you've done has been meaningful and intentional and designed, you know? That's amazing. That's amazing. That's a true designer thinking abstractly about what it means to be not just a fashion designer, but a designer. And you are a designer, for sure. Anyone else?
I think that
Then you.
your strength as a designer too, like this happened, it was Renzuli's class that your final got stolen, right? So during the 1 year, the night before our finals due, her dress got stolen, and she made a new one the night of, and I just think that that's like shows your strength, and like, I didn't know that, you know, FIT didn't let you win that many times. I just think that makes you such a stronger designer, and I've seen you grow over this process. It's been really great being alongside of you to see, you know, it's very inspirational, and I think it's really cool to see and where you come to this.
Give her a clap.
Yeah.
Oh, so to sleep.
Yeah, so the arms, one of the things Kyle and I had spoken about was putting a welt in here to put an arm through, but when you put this on, your arms sort of fall straight forward into it. And so I felt putting a welt on there would have
So is that why there's no armhole?
It's a capey thing, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and then it's open in the back. You put it on over the head, and then the underneath is just a dress.
What about your shoot?
So my shoot was a very good example of Murphy's Law. By no means perfect. I am really happy with the work that I've produced and how much I've grown and how much I've learned from it.
I would agree 100%. I think from previous project to this one, it's night and day. I mean, it's so much more mature. It's easy to read, and I always talk about the work having to speak for itself. And if you weren't here to take us through this, we could go through it and understand your process, which is really important because often your portfolio is sent before you, and you could. I get it, and I love the fact that you arrived back at that word that I asked you all to describe yourself with on day one, and it's like that it's so poetic that it's ended up being that at the end as well. Does anybody want to comment? I think your editing skills have really gone like through the roof because there's so much in here, and to take a look at, can you turn that around for me? To take a look at that. And the fact that you were able to streamline all of that into this beautiful darting and this interesting tucking, and that's not easy to do. To be able to see the best bits and to be able to focus on them and not feel the need to move it all forward. I mean, you've got like years worth of work that you can build off from this. I mean, that's in itself is beautiful, right? I would scan those Polaroids in really high res and just see how big you can get them and see what they look like bigger.
Yeah.
Anyone else? For anyone else?
I think it's a great thing to see your build on your last project. So I feel like this one, it's a very similar coloring and layout, and obviously you have your aesthetic and touch. But as you were saying, I think that you built it this whole other level that I wasn't expecting this at all, and I was working next to you the whole time you were making this. So it's really amazing that this came out. I think it's beautiful, and I think that you answered the not making an armhole and like very, very well. So it's cool.
It's called fashion. It's not clothing design anymore, it's fashion design, and that's the difference. You've gone from being someone that was quite stubborn, actually, at the beginning, and you've arrived at something very abstract and forward, and it reminds me of some of like early Boudica work, and like really kind of graphic, sharp edges, very, very, it's very Zoe. Give her a clap, everyone.